The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the silence. Not normal forest silence. Not earth silence. This silence felt heavier. Like the air itself was holding its breath. I didn't move at first. My back pressed into something soft, springy, and warm. Moss. Thick moss. It smelled clean, almost sweet, like rain mixed with something faintly metallic. My head throbbed, and when I lifted a hand to touch it, my fingers came away with dried blood. That wasn't a great sign. I forced myself to sit up slowly, every muscle stiff, every nerve alert. My last memory was alarms. Red lights. My ship screaming warnings at me while the navigation system died. Then the violent impact. Then nothing. And now, this. The forest around me was wrong. The trees were too tall, stretching impossibly high, their trunks smooth and pale like bone. Their leaves glowed faintly blue, casting soft light across the ground. The air shimmered slightly, like heat waves rising from asphalt, except the temperature was cool. I swallowed. This wasn't Earth. A branch snapped somewhere behind me. I froze. Slowly, carefully, I turned my head. Nothing. Just trees. Shadows. Blue light. Then another snap. Closer. My heart began to pound harder. My instincts screamed at me not to move, not to breathe, not to exist. I wasn't alone. I pushed myself to my feet, ignoring the dizziness, trying to make myself look bigger, more threatening. It was a stupid instinct. I wasn't threatening. I was barely standing. The forest shifted. And then they stepped out. At first, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. They were tall. Taller than any human woman I'd ever seen. Most of them stood at least 7 feet, maybe more. Their bodies were powerful, muscular without being bulky, perfectly balanced between strength and grace. Their skin shimmered in shades of pale silver and soft violet, reflecting the faint blue glow of the forest. Their eyes locked onto me. Wide. Bright. Curious. There were at least 10 of them. Maybe more, emerging silently from between the trees, surrounding me without a sound. I couldn't breathe. They weren't holding weapons. They weren't attacking. They were staring. Like I was the strange one. One of them stepped forward. She was slightly taller than the others, her posture confident. Her eyes moved slowly over me, studying every detail. I braced myself. This was it. I'd survived the crash, only to die here. She moved closer. Close enough that I could see the faint glow beneath her skin, like light flowing through her veins. Her head tilted. Confusion. Fascination. She reached out. I flinched instinctively, but her hand didn't strike me. Her fingers gently touched my arm. Her skin was warm. She froze. Her eyes widened slightly. Behind her, the others reacted instantly. Soft sounds escaped them, quiet gasps, whispers in a language I couldn't understand. She touched my arm again, more deliberately this time, pressing lightly, like she was confirming I was real. Her expression changed. Not hostile. Amazed. She said something, her voice low and smooth. The others responded quickly, their tones rising with excitement. And then something happened that completely broke my understanding of the situation. She stepped back. And she knelt. My brain stopped working. She lowered her head. Behind her, the others followed. One by one. They knelt. Every single one of them. I stood there, injured, confused, covered in dried blood and dirt, while a group of powerful alien women knelt in front of me like I was something important. I didn't understand. I didn't understand at all. The tall one looked up at me again. Her eyes were filled with something I hadn't expected. Reverence. She spoke slowly, clearly, like she wanted me to understand. I didn't know how, but I did. Not the words exactly. The meaning. Sky sent you. I blinked. She placed her hand lightly against her chest. Goddess, promise. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Behind her, the others watched me with open fascination. One of them leaned slightly to the side, trying to see my face more clearly. Another whispered something to the one beside her, her eyes never leaving me. I wasn't their prisoner. I was something else. Something worse. Something important. The leader stood again, slowly, carefully, like she didn't want to frighten me. She gestured toward me, then toward the sky, then toward the ground. Her voice was soft. Mate, candidate. My stomach dropped. Mate? No. No, that wasn't right. That couldn't be right. I shook my head instinctively. I think you've got the wrong guy. They didn't understand my words. But they understood my existence. The moment stretched. Then chaos erupted. Another one stepped forward suddenly, pushing slightly past the leader. She reached for my other arm, touching it with obvious fascination. Her fingers traced lightly along my sleeve, her expression filled with wonder. Another moved closer, circling behind me cautiously, like she was inspecting a rare artifact. They began speaking rapidly to each other. Excited. Animated. Arguing. The leader turned sharply and said something firm. The others froze instantly, backing away slightly, though their eyes remained locked on me. She turned back to me. Her expression was calmer now, but there was something else beneath it. Determination. She spoke again, slower this time. Proving begins. The others reacted immediately. Their posture changed. What had been curiosity became competition. One of them stepped forward quickly, holding something in her hands. Fruit. Strange glowing fruit. She held it out toward me eagerly. Another moved beside her, gently but firmly pushing her aside, placing herself between us. She gestured to herself. Then to me. Her expression was confident. Possessive. They began arguing again. Pointing at me. Pointing at themselves. Trying to get closer. Trying to be first. The realization hit me slowly. They weren't deciding whether to kill me. They were deciding who got me. I stood there, in the middle of an alien forest, surrounded by powerful beings who believed I had fallen from the sky as some kind of divine gift. And somehow, impossibly, I had just become the grand prize in something I never asked to be part of. I didn't remember agreeing to any of this. Yet somehow, by the time the blue glowing sun dipped lower behind the towering trees, I was sitting on what could only be described as a throne made of woven branches, soft moss, and something that felt suspiciously like fur. I hadn't moved there myself. They had carried me. Not dragged. Not forced. Carried. Carefully. Like I was fragile. Valuable. Important. That part still made no sense. The tall leader stood nearby, watching the others with calm authority while they moved around me in barely contained excitement. They kept looking at me like I might vanish if they blinked too long. And honestly, I wasn't entirely convinced this wasn't some kind of concussion dream. One of them approached slowly. She was slightly shorter than the leader, though still easily a foot taller than me. Her silver skin shimmered faintly as she stepped closer, her hands full of things. Food, I realized. A lot of food. Fruits, roots, something that looked like strips of meat, and several glowing pods that pulsed faintly with light. She knelt in front of me, carefully placing everything at my feet. Her movements were deliberate, respectful. Then she looked up at me, her bright eyes searching my face. Waiting. For what, I wasn't sure. Then she gestured to the food. And to me. Oh. She wanted me to eat. I hesitated. I had no idea if any of this was safe for humans. No idea if it was poisonous, toxic, or worse. She tilted her head, watching my hesitation. Her expression shifted, something like concern appearing. She picked up one of the glowing fruits. Without breaking eye contact, she took a bite. Chewed. Swallowed. Then she offered another piece to me. I understood what she was doing. Proving it was safe. I took it slowly, my fingers brushing hers. Her hand was warm. Steady. She froze slightly at the contact. So did I. I took the fruit and bit into it cautiously. Sweet. Warm. almost like honey and citrus combined. Her entire posture changed instantly. She straightened, her shoulders pulling back, her expression lighting up with unmistakable pride. She made a soft sound, calling out to the others. Several of them reacted immediately, looking over with clear recognition. She had succeeded. Whatever this was, she had scored points. I swallowed the bite slowly, watching her as she sat beside me now, closer than before. Not touching, but close enough that I could feel her warmth. Her eyes never left my face. She looked happy, and that realization made something shift uncomfortably in my chest. Before I could process it, another one approached. This one moved differently. Faster. More alert. Her eyes scanned the forest constantly, her posture tense, protective. She stopped beside me and looked down, her gaze intense. Then she suddenly turned and grabbed something behind me. I jumped instinctively. She had grabbed a branch. A completely harmless, fallen branch. She snapped it in half effortlessly and threw it aside with obvious hostility. Then she turned back to me. And nodded. Like she had just saved my life. I blinked. She moved closer, placing herself between me and the open forest. Her stance widened slightly, protective, ready. Guarding me. From trees. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or be concerned. She glanced back at me occasionally, checking if I was safe, if I approved. Every time our eyes met, she seemed to relax slightly. Then, without warning, she bent down and lifted me. I yelped in surprise as my feet left the ground. She held me easily, effortlessly, like I weighed nothing. Her arms were strong, solid, secure. She looked down at me, studying my reaction. I realized, slowly, she wasn't trying to dominate me. She was protecting me. Because in her mind, I was fragile. The thought was both humiliating and strangely comforting. She carried me back to the moss throne and set me down carefully. Her hands lingered for just a second longer than necessary before she stepped back, her eyes scanning the surroundings again. Satisfied I was safe. Satisfied she had done her role. Satisfied she had proven herself. But the chaos wasn't over. Another one stepped forward. This one moved with curiosity rather than confidence. Her eyes were softer, her movements cautious, thoughtful. In her hands was my phone. My heart nearly stopped. I must have dropped it during the crash. She held it carefully, like it was sacred. The screen was still active. She tapped it. The phone responded. Her eyes widened. She tapped again, faster now. A video began playing. Some random clip I had downloaded. Humans talking. Laughing. She froze. Her gaze snapped to me. Then back to the screen. Then back to me. Her expression changed. Determination. She stepped closer, holding the phone between us. Then she pointed to the screen. Then to herself. Then she spoke. Her voice awkward. Unfamiliar with the shapes of the sounds. Hello? My heart skipped. She had copied it. Copied the word from the phone. She tried again. Hello? Her pronunciation improved slightly. The others reacted instantly. Excited murmurs spread through them. She was learning. Learning me? She watched my face intensely, searching for approval. I nodded slowly. Her entire body seemed to relax. Encouraged, she pointed to herself. Then struggled to form another word. Hello? She was introducing herself. In the only human way she knew. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even close. But she was trying. Actually trying. Not competing through strength. Not competing through food. Competing through understanding. Something tightened in my chest. Because for the first time since waking up here, I didn't feel like prey. I didn't feel like a prize. I felt like a person. And that was somehow more terrifying than anything else. By the time the glowing light above began to dim into something softer, something closer to evening, I had learned one very important thing about alien courtship rituals. They were completely insane. I was still sitting on the moss throne, still trying to process everything that had happened so far, when the next one approached. She walked differently than the others. Slower. More deliberate. And in her arms she carried something. At first, I couldn't tell what it was. Then she stepped closer. And my stomach dropped. Frogs. Dead frogs. A lot of them. She stopped in front of me and carefully lowered them to the ground, arranging them with intense focus. One by one. Like each one mattered. Like the placement was important. I counted without meaning to. 1, 2, 3. She kept going. 10, 20, 30. She didn't stop until there were 47 dead frogs laid out in front of me in what looked like some kind of deliberate pattern. My brain refused to process it. She stepped back when she was finished and looked at me. Waited. Her posture was tense. Nervous. Hopeful. Proud. She gestured to the frogs. Then to me. Then to herself. My mind raced desperately, trying to interpret what was happening. This was a gift. This was her attempt. She thought this was romantic. I stared at the frogs. Then at her. She stared back, her bright eyes locked onto mine, searching my face for a reaction. This had taken effort. Time. Care. She had hunted 47 individual creatures and brought them here. For me. My survival instincts screamed at me to run. My emotional instincts told me not to hurt her feelings. So I did the only thing I could do. I nodded slowly. Her entire body reacted instantly. She straightened, her shoulders pulling back, her expression flooding with relief and happiness. She made a soft sound, almost like a breath she had been holding for hours had finally escaped. Behind her, the others murmured. Some impressed. Some clearly jealous. She had done something significant. She had proven her devotion. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or question every life choice that had led me here. She stepped closer now, cautiously, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed. Her hand reached out. Paused. Then gently rested against my shoulder. Warm. Careful. Her touch wasn't possessive. It was hopeful. And that somehow made it worse. Because she wasn't acting like someone trying to win a prize. She was acting like someone trying to connect. She stepped back after a moment, giving space again, her expression still glowing with quiet pride. I exhaled slowly, trying to steady myself. I wasn't prepared for this. I had expected aliens to be hostile. Cold. Logical. Not emotional. Not vulnerable. Not trying so hard. And that was when I noticed her. She had been standing farther back the entire time. Watching. Not pushing forward. Not competing aggressively. Not trying to impress me with food or protection or offerings. She simply observed. Her posture was calm. Neutral. When our eyes met, she didn't immediately look away. She held my gaze. Not demanding anything. Not expecting anything. Just present. After a moment, she stepped forward slowly. The others noticed immediately. Their posture shifted slightly, tense, alert. She ignored them. She stopped a short distance in front of me and sat down. Not kneeling. Not presenting anything. Just sitting. Her eyes moved over my face carefully, studying me like she was trying to understand something deeper than my appearance. She gestured lightly. To me. Then made a questioning motion. I hesitated. Then pointed to myself. Human. She watched my mouth carefully as I spoke. Then she pointed to herself. Paused. Her voice came out soft. Human. It wasn't correct. But it was close. Closer than the others. She wasn't copying randomly. She was trying to understand meaning. She gestured again. This time toward the forest. Then toward the sky. Then toward me. A question. Where had I come from? I pointed upward. Sky. Her eyes widened slightly. She repeated the word quietly. Sky. She understood. Not just the sound. The meaning. She sat with me in silence for a while after that. No pressure. No performance. No competition. Just presence. And slowly, something inside me began to loosen. For the first time since waking up here, my heart wasn't racing. For the first time, I didn't feel like prey. I didn't feel like an object. I felt seen. Not as a prize. Not as a prophecy. But as something else. Something real. Around us, the others watched. Their curiosity hadn't faded. Their interest hadn't weakened. If anything, it had grown stronger. Because this wasn't just about physical strength. Or offerings. Or rituals. This was about something they didn't fully understand yet. Connection. The leader stepped forward again after some time, her presence immediately commanding attention. She looked at me. Then at the others. Then back at me. Her voice was calm. Certain. Decision soon. The others reacted instantly. Tension spread through them. Hope. Fear. Determination. They weren't just competing anymore. They were waiting. Waiting for me. And the terrifying truth was, I didn't know what I was going to do. Because somewhere between the glowing forest, the careful offerings, the awkward attempts to understand me, this had stopped feeling like captivity. And started feeling like belonging. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay on the soft woven bedding they had made for me, staring up at the faintly glowing canopy above. The alien sky pulsed gently with slow-moving streams of light, like rivers flowing across darkness. It should have been peaceful. Beautiful, even. But my mind wouldn't stop. Every moment replayed itself over and over. The food. The protection. The frogs. The awkward attempts to speak. The quiet one who didn't try to impress me, only understand me. They believed I was chosen. Sent. Important. On Earth, I had never been important. I had been average. Replaceable. Just another person trying to survive in a world that barely noticed if you existed. But here, they looked at me like I mattered. Not because I was strong. Not because I was powerful. Because I was me. That realization was heavier than anything else. A soft sound nearby made me turn my head. One of them stood at the edge of the clearing. Watching. The quiet one. She didn't move closer. Didn't interrupt. She simply stayed there, making sure I was safe. Not guarding me like property. Protecting me like someone who cared. When our eyes met, she gave a small nod. Then she sat down, still keeping her distance, still respecting my space. I didn't know why, but that small gesture settled something restless inside my chest. Eventually, exhaustion pulled me into shallow sleep. When I woke again, the entire tribe was gathered. They stood in a wide circle around the clearing. Waiting. The leader stood at the center. Her presence alone made the others still, silent, respectful. She gestured for me to stand. My legs felt unsteady as I rose, every eye locking onto me instantly. Hope. Fear. Anticipation. They weren't predators. They were vulnerable. That terrified me more than anything else. The leader stepped closer. She gestured slowly. To each of them. Then to me. Her voice was calm. Choose. The word hit harder than anything else she had said. Choose. My chest tightened. They waited. None of them spoke. None of them moved. The one who brought food stood tall, trying to appear confident, but her hands were tense. The protector stood alert, like she could defend me from the universe itself. The one who learned from my phone watched me carefully, her eyes full of hope and curiosity. The one who brought the frog stood straighter than the rest, her expression determined, her offering clearly the most intense declaration she knew how to make. And the quiet one. She didn't step forward. She didn't try to look better. She simply stood there, watching me, accepting whatever would happen. Not forcing. Not demanding. Just trusting. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready to have this kind of importance in anyone's life. But they believed in me. They believed I had value. And maybe, for the first time, I believed it too. I stepped forward slowly. Every movement felt heavier than gravity. I stopped in front of her. The quiet one. Her eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected it. She hadn't pushed for it. She hadn't tried to win. She had simply been there. Present. Understanding. I raised my hand slowly. Paused. Then gently touched her arm, the same way they had touched mine when we first met. Her skin was warm. She froze. Her breathing changed. Behind me, I could feel the others watching. Waiting. I didn't know their words. I didn't know their rituals. But I knew what mattered. I gestured to her. Then to myself. Then placed my hand over my chest. Her eyes widened further as understanding spread across her face. Emotion moved through her like a visible wave. Relief. Disbelief. Happiness. She stepped closer carefully, like I might disappear. Her hand rose slowly, hesitating before resting gently against my shoulder. Around us, the others reacted. Not with anger. Not with hostility. With acceptance. Some lowered their heads respectfully. Some watched with quiet sadness. But none of them challenged it. None of them tried to take me. Because this had never been about ownership. It had been about connection. The leader stepped forward. She studied both of us carefully. Then she nodded. Approval. Respect. Final. The tension that had filled the clearing dissolved instantly. The tribe relaxed. And something shifted in the air. Something permanent. The quiet one remained close, her hand still resting lightly against me, like she needed to confirm I was real. I didn't pull away. For the first time since arriving here, I didn't feel lost. I didn't feel like an outsider. I felt like I belonged somewhere. Days passed. I learned slowly. Their language. Their habits. Their world. They were stronger than me in every physical way. Faster. More durable. More capable of surviving this planet. But they didn't see strength the same way humans did. They valued something else. Persistence. Emotion. Connection. Things humans had in abundance, even when we didn't realize it. They watched me constantly, fascinated by the smallest things. The way I laughed. The way I hesitated before touching something unfamiliar. The way I needed rest more often than they did. Not with judgment. With admiration. Like my differences weren't weaknesses. They were wonders. And her. She stayed beside me. Not hovering. Not controlling. Just there. Learning me. Understanding me. One morning, as I sat near the edge of the clearing, watching the glowing sky, another alien approached cautiously. It was the one who had brought the frogs. I tensed slightly, unsure what she intended. She stepped forward and gently placed something on the ground beside me. I looked down. 12 frogs. I looked up at her slowly. She gestured quickly, shaking her head. Then she gestured between us. Her expression awkward. Friendly. Not competing. Just sharing. I stared at the frogs. Then at her. And for the first time since arriving on this impossible world, I laughed. Not because the situation was absurd, but because somehow, against all logic, this had become home.